This program brought to you by ACS. Think ahead, create the future, change the world. This is Swipe on Your Money.
Hello, I'm James Daganixon and welcome to Swipe, the show designed to keep you up to date with all the latest and greatest trends and products in tech. Coming up.
Every company will be an AI company. Every company. We would have said 4 or 5 years ago, every company is a software company, but that's so yesterday. The way of looking forward is every company in one way or another will be using AI tools to communicate to their suppliers, their customers, their consumers in some fashion or another.
And we're going to hear from Microsoft's Global Chief Technology Officer for a better understanding of artificial intelligence and how it's set to impact our lives. Plus, we take you to the Swipe testing facility where this week we'll be reviewing the latest LG ultra-wide monitor. And trust me, it's a big one. But first, it is tech news time for that. I'm joined by Matt Dunn from the Daily Telegraph and the Australian's David Swan from our Melbourne studio. First up, you can't talk tech without starting with Tesla. It's announced their low-cost Model 3 will be coming to Australia with the right-hand drive version going into production next year. Now, the Model 3 can reach speeds of 200 kilometres per hour and the battery can last for 420 clicks. It will set you back, though. Keep in mind, this is meant to be the mass market vehicle. It's going to set you back about 77,000 grand here in Australia. So they've also announced an Alexandria facility as well as a mobile device app. Matt, are you a Tesla fan?
Yeah, I am. I like the concept. I like the idea. Obviously, as a journo, I think it's out of my price range. But, you know, I would get on board if I could.
If you could. Well, this is it. The Model 3 is meant to be the game changer. Bring it to the masses. Bring it to the journalists.
Yeah. So I guess the thing that I like about it is not so much the electric, it's the autonomous side of it. So, you know, obviously that's a while off yet before that will take over. But for me, that is the future. I love the idea of hopping in a car, not having to drive and letting it do all the work for me. I guess it's lazy.
Is that just because you're lazy?
Yeah, well, kind of. And some people say that they, you know, I want to drive and it'll be a shame if that ever happens, but I'm all for it.
Just ask, what will you do whilst you're sitting in the car and it's driving for you? How do you intend to pass your time? Because this is what fascinates me. The idea, though, it's going to be productivity. I'm going to be, knocking out stories whilst I'm driving a car. People are just going to be playing video games and watching Netflix.
Yeah, look, I'd like to say I'm going to be working, but it's probably all Spider-Man inside my car.
David Swan, what about you? As far as Teslas are concerned, has Elon Musk's somewhat erratic behaviour of last year has it taken any of the shine, do you think, as far as the Tesla fanboys are concerned?
I think somewhat it has. We've seen over the last few weeks, Elon has behaved incredibly erratically and he's not the chairman of the company anymore. That's a pretty big deal. I think we are starting to see some of the shine come off the company. The real question is, over the next couple of years, if he can keep delivering the cars. I mean, the proof will be in the pudding, really, to see if the cars can still come into production and we can start driving them. We'll see next year if they'll make it to Australia or not, but yeah. We'll see. Yeah,
the jury is out, isn't it? Because they are burning through monumental wads of cash every month and seemingly delay after delay in terms of those production targets.
Yeah, that's right, exactly. I mean, we've got all sorts of stories coming out as well of employees who say that things aren't particularly rosy over at Tesla. So hopefully, Elon can start focusing less on Twitter and more on actually putting the cars out.
I think that's good advice. Some people just need to get off socials, don't they, Matt?
Yeah.
He's that guy.
I'm all for Elon. I love the erratic behaviour. When he was on Rogan, you got to pay it.
As long as you're not a shareholder.
Yeah.
Imagine you're sitting there watching, your hard-earned dollar just get smoked away.
Quite literally.
Exactly. Let's move on. Amazon Australia has launched food and drinks category with thousands of items from over 400 local and international brands. The expansion comes less than a year after the launch of Amazon's Australian website, putting pressure on local retailers, Woolworths and Coles. A big move. Before we get into the idea of pantry food, which is what this is all about, David, has Amazon, do you think, entry into Australia lived up to the hype?
It has not to date. They've obviously been very deliberate in taking a slow and steady approach and not try to launch everything at once. If you're in the US, for example, often you have same-day delivery. In Australia, they don't often offer that, and there are a lot of products that you still can't get in Australia that you can get elsewhere with Amazon. So they've been slow and steady, and I think that would have cost them some momentum that they would have otherwise had.
Does this bring them a step closer? We know that food delivery over in the US is a big deal for them, particularly, as you say, if you're a Prime member, same-day delivery. Does this bring them a step closer to what people have been expecting, at least from Amazon?
I think so, and I think for the Matts of the world who might be a bit on the lazy side and want to be driven everywhere, for example, if you can now get your food delivery all to your house as well, so you get your car driving you places, and now your food, you don't even have to leave the house. So I think it will be quite popular. Yeah.
You've been sweating on this one, haven't you, Matt? Too late.
No, I'm all for it. Bring it here. I think that it will pick up, but it's probably not something that my parents, I sort of think of them, and they're just getting on board with Coles delivering things, you know what I mean? They think that's exciting. And I think for them, Amazon is still so foreign to them, and I think they know it as like the book place or somewhere where you can get tech, and to buy groceries off that, it's going to be a bit of a hard slog to convince people, especially because it hasn't lived up to the hype and hasn't had the uptake. I think that it's a great idea, and I'm sort of on board, as Dave said, bring it on. But for other people, I think it might be a little bit harder to convince, unless obviously savings were a lot more than you would get at the grocery store.
All right, so we've done Tesla, we've done Amazon. It's time for Apple now, because a new study by Citi has revealed that new iPhone models are no longer creating as much buzz as they used to. Interest in the phones has actually been on the slide since the iPhone 5 6 years ago. The study analysed web searches for the new iPhones each year, finding Apple's momentum has been gradually decreasing. Matt Dunn, have we potentially reached peak Apple? Peak iPhone.
As a Samsung fanboy, I'd love to say yes.
They're cheering in the background.
But I think it's more the case of just how far can you sort of take a phone every year. You're sort of bringing something out, and the changes are only so small. And to do the major changes that people want, the cost is going to skyrocket.